Want to call the board meeting to order this evening for October 18th, East Greenbush Central School District. Thank you, everyone. Got a full house tonight. Good to see you all. Tonight's attendance, Mr. Dunn and Ms. Skmersky will not be here. And with that, I would like to ask you to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. So we're very pleased to be here this evening at Bell Top. Exciting agenda and a presentation from some of our superstars I heard from the fifth grade, Mr. Mahart. Right. So I will officially turn over to our principal, Mr. Mahart. Student council's not here, right? Cole and Rome? I don't think so. Okay.
Thanks, Marcin. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Belltop School community, I'm delighted to welcome to our school, the Board of Education, Superintendent Simons, Central Office Administration, our Belltop staff, students, and parents, community members. Tonight, I'm honored to be able to host a special event. This evening, we recognize the Board of Ed members for their volunteerism. You give freely of your time and skills to support our school community. This has made a positive difference in our schools and has made them a better place to learn and grow. You have supported our teachers and students by approving an increase in FTEs to lower class sizes. For that, we thank you. You have supported our building renovations over the past several years and made our physical space more inviting and functional. For that, we thank you. Here at Belltop, we had an increase in librarian time, which has made a positive impact on our students. For that, we thank you. We thank you for so many things which you have done over all these years. The list is long, and we are grateful. To show our appreciation this evening, we have a few treats for you. But tonight I have two special fifth grade Belltop students here to help present these. We have Jazz Marie Garcia and Kyle Rogers. First up, we have Jazz Marie to say a few words.
Good evening, Board of Education members. My name is Jasmine Garcia.
And my name is Kyle Rogers. We are here tonight to thank you for your service to our school district.
Our classes learned about what you do as volunteers, and we appreciate all of the time and talent you give to create a positive learning environment for all students.
Please accept these cards as a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have see-through bags with your name so they can tell where they go.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I love the little bell, wooden bell here.
Yes,
Awesome.
thank you very much. I hope you are able to display that proudly.
Excellent.
So just a little bit about Jazz Marie and Kyle. Their class, Mr. Labarge's class in library class with Mrs. Devine, we're talking about career exploration, and part of that came up with citizenship and volunteerism. And they decided to look up on the website the 9 board members and see what careers you have. And then they learned a lesson on the difference between your careers and then your volunteerism here, which I'm sure you put in a lot more effort and work here as a board member. Just kidding, actually. So they know you don't get paid for your service. And so on that note, I would like to say I'm going to double your salary personally. If you'll notice that some of these cards are very unique because they know what your careers were and they wrote special notes to you. So-
Really?
Yeah, so they're pretty special from the heart, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. So I'm very proud of them, and I'd like to give them a round of applause. So before I close, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for how much that you've personally supported me over the years. I've been in this district for 32 years, and some of us go back a long time. I remember Mark Mann as my DARE teacher, police officer in 5th grade when I was a teacher at Janae. That's a long time ago. And I still remember those days. I've gotten to know many of you so well over the years, and I've been very proud to work together as a team. So I hope you enjoy your special treats. And I promised my students that if they came, they would be able to enjoy some of the refreshments at this table over here. So I'm going to ask that we have a brief intermission so they can indulge and you can partake as well. That pile of our plate of cupcakes are special ones for the Board of Ed and administration team.
We'll make some
Enjoy.
special, Marty.
Thank you. With your permission, Mr. Buno, we can take a short intermission.
Absolutely. We'd love to take a little recess and enjoy what you've laid out here. I want to thank the Belltop School community for welcoming us and for those wonderful words, for the gifts from the kids, and for the students who presented this evening. Just really proud to be part of this community and part of the board and my colleagues here. And it all comes from the heart, and we appreciate that and all your dedicated years of service, Marty, of course. So let's take a quick recess and enjoy what you've laid out here. And I want to thank you again. And board members, any comments before we take a recess? It's up to you. And Jesse?
Yeah, I also wanted to just thank you for the gifts. I just want to say, like, there's a spirit in which you gave. It's like the same spirit in which we give, and that's why I really appreciate it so much. I think, that's really representative of what future leadership looks like, right? To be able to connect, from the heart and do the work. And I just see that, in you too, and I'm very grateful to be able to sit here and serve with the community too. And the truth is, even with zero pay, it's very rewarding. You can't.
Thank you, Jesse.
But thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Jesse. Anyone else? No? Jen?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the students. You guys did a great job reading, and I know it's tough getting up in front of a bunch of people, but you did a great job. And, thank you for the recognition, certainly. But as you grow older, I hope you'll, think about what you can do and what you're interested in your community, because as Jesse said, it is very rewarding to help others.
I do want to say, too, we have a lot of students from Columbia here in our participation in government class. Mr. Wagner, Mrs. Schra, right? And I hope from this occasion you think about civics and what happens in government. And this is a small part of giving back to your community. As a lot of you asked that question, a lot of us have responded, why do we do what we do? Because we love our community. We love the opportunities we can give to children. Our own children went here. Mine did. And it just represents the best of what we can offer as a community to our schools and educating our children right through to, and most of you are seniors, right? So we're gonna see you at graduation. So again, just part of the participatory process. So thanks for all being here, and we'll take a quick recess. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Buno.
Okay, you got it. Next part of our meeting is approval of draft minutes for October 11th. Any questions, comments, or revisions on those? No? If not, I need a motion to approve the minutes from October 11th. Joanne, second. Emily, all those in favor? Approved. Next item is the board forum. I'll start on my left with Cheryl. Okay, Mark.
Just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. Definitely, Mr. Mahar, thank you to the Belltop community and all the kids. This was awesome. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Jen? Good. Jess? Good.
Just want to echo what Mark just said. It's great to be back at Belltop. A lot of memories here for me. Thank you to the Belltop community, and it's great to see everyone here today. We appreciate everything that everyone does for our kids.
Thank you, Joanne. Emily?
Yeah, I just want to echo and say thank you as well. Some nights, especially this week, right, 2 nights we've committed, and it's hard to leave a 4-month-old at home. But when, we get these cards and we see the appreciation,
Definitely.
it makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What Emily's mentioning is we did have a board retreat on Monday to go over district and board goals. Good conversation, about 3 hours, and we feel we came up with some really productive items for us to work on, and then we'll see that draft at the November meeting. That's correct. Correct. Thank you, Mr. Simons. Now we'll move to our public forum. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district, other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns in the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name, address, or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the ordinary efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing or prohibited and will be declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board at this time? Yes, sir.
Keith Frank, my address is 10 Woodland Road, Troy, New York, 12180. My son Henry Martin Frank just started kindergarten last month. With the confusion and the notifications of the first lockouts that were going on, I exchanged communication with Mr. Simons. And I just wanted to say that since those first few that have gone out, I've just wanted to thank everybody for continuing to improve that communication that goes out district-wide. I felt very much in the loop with all the notices that have gone out since that first couple of days that were going on the school year. And I just appreciate everybody being receptive to feedback and improving, and thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I know that it just seems to be nonstop these days with things that happen again today that the district dealt with. So thank you very much. Anyone else? Students, last chance. Oh, I see a hand. Oh, hi, Allison.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm Allison Hosier. I'm the president of the East Greenbush Teachers Association. Respected Board of Education members and members of Central Administration, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak to you during public forum this evening. It's a real honor to embody and represent the members of this organization, and to say I am proud of each of them is an understatement. Their respective roles as educators, counselors, related service providers, psychologists, therapists, and social workers are merely one facet of the enormous collective role they play in the betterment of this community. As human beings, our teachers and related service providers regularly go the extra mile, extending beyond the required call of duty to ensure that the learning experiences and environment within the school district are rich with human connection, empathy, kindness, tolerance, excellence, patience, resilience, opportunity, and rigor. The East Greenbush Central School District is the #1 school district in the Capital Region. Is this a coincidence? The East Greenbush Teachers Association approaches this profession as far more than a job that pays the bills. The work accomplished by the association is a manifestation of the human spirit in a world where technology, disconnect, and isolation are becoming more and more prevalent. I urge you to recognize and honor the value in that work, just like I do every single day. This life has urged me to find a path toward optimism and hope. As a person and as a professional, I do believe my perceptions and perspective have been acutely honed. Please take a moment to look behind me at these incredible human beings. These individuals should be an inspiration to all of us in this room and to everyone in this community. I truly cannot think of more selfless work. These individuals set aside hardship on the daily to ensure that the community we serve is served well, above and beyond, with passion, integrity, and with professionalism. On behalf of the association, I have regularly sought collaboration with the district to ensure that our collective partnership effectively recognizes the service and dedication demonstrated by our membership, and that fairness is a central value. Respect, dedication, unity, the core values of the association. I do maintain a sense of hope that these attributes mean something to all of us in this room. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Allison. Very nicely said. Anyone else want to speak to the board this evening? Seeing no other takers on the public forum, I will now move to the reports and presentations of the superintendent of schools, Mr. Simons.
Thank you, Mr. Buno. Good evening to the Board of Education, members of the community who are here to participate in our board meeting, and those members of the community who are watching this board meeting via the live stream. This is a really important meeting for our board and our community. The district, over the course of the last several months, really going back to December of last school year, we've been putting together information to prepare a proposal to the community for complete renovations involved with a capital project for all of our school buildings. We're here to share some preliminary information with the board this evening to talk about the scope of the project, the financing of the project, and to make sure that as we continue to develop the project, we get adequate feedback from our Board of Education, from the members of our community, and our stakeholders. Tonight's presentation, I'll be joined by Jen Mulligan, who is our Director of Business and Finance, our Director of Facilities, Paul Bickle, who is here in the audience right now. I'll ask Paul to come up. And I'm also pleased to introduce some key members of our team who have already contributed to the development of this project scope, as well as will be helping the district continue the planning and hopefully the oversight and delivery of what will be an enhancement of all of our school facilities for our taxpayers, for our students, and for our faculty and staff. So here joined with me this evening, I have our new district's appointed architect from the Bella Associates, Pasquale Marchese. We're also joined by representatives of Turner Construction, which is our newly appointed construction management firm, Vice President Carl Stewart, Patty Murray, and James Thomas are all here from the new construction and management firm, Turner. Every single one of these individuals for Turner happen to be residents of the East Greenbush community and have students who have come to our schools. So we have Bella, who's our architect, who's assisted us in putting together the overall project scope and design. Now we are joined by Turner, who will help us continue to develop the project, work out some of the logistics, and provide oversight over the project once it is approved by the voters. We are also joined virtually by our financial consultant from Capital Markets, Rick Gansey. I hope that Rick is out there. Rick, are you here?
Yep, I can hear you. Thank you.
Very good. So everyone that has contributed to the information I'm going to share this evening and will be contributing to help us pull together this capital project is here with us this evening. Just a brief recap. In December of 2022, we announced to the board that we had finished what's called the Building Condition Survey. Now, the Building Condition Survey is a set of documents and information that is required by the New York State Education Department every 5 years to identify needs within each of our school buildings that we may propose through a 5-year plan for future renovations. The Building Condition Survey was submitted last March. We take that information and we put it together in what's called a 5-year plan. The 5-year plan includes an executive summary of work that we will be proposing and studying to complete for our school community. Additionally, when we put together a capital project, we work very hard to ensure that the capital project scope, the cost of the overall project, drives as much state support as we can. New York State has a very supportive system for helping schools maintain their school facilities. And in East Greenbush, we have 814,000 square feet of building. Okay? We have a lot of property and facilities that we need to oversee. And New York State helps us and our Board of Education meet our fiduciary responsibility to be good stewards of the facilities, to make sure that they are safe, to make sure that they are modern, to make sure that they are current and able to support the educational program of today's students. So this process, as prescribed by New York State, is designed for school districts to participate in, but we have a lot of requirements that we have to fulfill. This particular project scope that we're going to talk about this evening is larger than capital projects that have been done in the East Greenbush School District, in part because the construction process takes a lot of time. You may recall that in 2017, the voters approved a $39.7 million capital project. That project was proposed to be completed over 3 summers. That 3-year project became a 7-year project because of various factors involved in getting the required approvals of the State Education Department, making sure that the bidding process for construction is in accordance with New York State law, making sure that the process of implementation of the project goes smoothly, and then we had COVID-19. Okay, and we know all of the factors in terms of materials delays, construction costs that have been impacted by that. As we've been completing the current $39.7 million project, which is almost complete, we have 1 project to go, which is a new playground for the Janae Elementary School. We have been continuing to find other things that need to be addressed within our school. So this particular project scope that we're going to talk about tonight, in terms of the overall dollar amount, is $116 million. But that $116 million, about 75% of the overall cost of that project, on portions of that project that are eligible for building aid, will be paid for by New York State Education Department, the state of New York. So 75 cents of every dollar that we borrow to complete this $116 million project, on portions of that project that are eligible for aid, will be reimbursed by the state. And as we look through various financial information that we're going to present to you this evening, we're very pleased that the estimates that we provided the board last December have been completely updated. They're more accurate. They also contain escalation factors because the project, by the time we get it approved by the voters and that project is submitted to the State Education Department, we're hoping that the timing of this will be first construction occurring in the 25-26 school year. We're pleased that the board decided to go out for a response for proposals for, as I mentioned, a new architectural firm in Labella. Pasquale has been here working with the district team for about a month now, and we're very pleased to have Turner Construction, which is a large construction management firm and a full construction firm that works with many school districts in New York State, but also throughout the country. And as I said earlier, we have local representation here who are invested in our community. As we present this information tonight, we want everyone, the board, the community, to understand the key financial considerations that were involved in crafting this project, some of the proposed work that is still being developed. We're looking for feedback from the board on the proposed work that we plan to complete. And we're hoping that through this process, we'll be able to involve not only people that work within the school district in refining the scope of the project, but also in the community. In the area of the community, we've had a very good process going in the past under the leadership of Wayne Pratt. Wayne Pratt is here. He's been working on capital projects with the district and budgets with our district, I think since 1985, the year that I graduated from high school. So Mr. Pratt chairs the BRAC committee, and he's going to be helping us and assisting our board and our community with long-range facilities planning. In the past, projects that we've done have been smaller in scope, ranging from $20 million to $39.7 million. The environment has changed. The costs and the needs have changed. But the good news about this project, and we're going to help you understand this, is that this project will be brought on just at the right time that we are retiring current debt on previous projects. So $116 million project is projected to have no additional impact on our local taxpayers. So we get all of this work done over time with about a 75% reimbursement rate from New York State, and put this project on schedule in such a way that it will have no additional impact on our local taxpayers and what we refer to as the local share. There are people that are smarter than finance than I am, so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Jen Mulligan and Rick Gansey. They're going to help us understand why we've timed this project in the way we have, why we've designed it in the way we have, to take advantage of the state aid that is available, and to be able to bring this project forward to our community to enhance our facilities, our grounds, and to do so with no impact on the local taxpayers. Jen.
Thank you, Jeff. Big clicker. All right, good evening, everybody. I wanted to start out, Rick is going to get into some more of the technical details in terms of the sizing of the project and the timing of everything, but I did want to start out talking about some common terms because some of these terms are very important in how the whole project financing picture is developed. So first, there are three components that come into play when we talk about maximum cost allowances. And this is all going to come together for you when Rick jumps in as well. So a few things. The State Education Department establishes building aid units, which is basically the capacity of our buildings. And with those building aid units, there is a regional cost factor that's applied. So obviously, if we were downstate New York, there would be a higher cost factor that would be applied. And then there's also a construction cost index. So these three items come into play when we're talking about maximum cost allowances. And also, Jeff had talked a little bit about how prior, back in May 2017, when we had our original project, was a very different time. And then we went through the period of COVID. So costs have changed substantially. And Rick is going to talk a little bit about how that is helping our overall project size. Moving on, the maximum cost allowance represents the maximum amount of actual expenditures on which the New York State will pay building aid on. So it's calculated at the individual building level, and it's based on taking your building aid units, applying the regional cost factor, and then the construction cost index to both construction costs and incidental costs separately. So when we have a maximum cost allowance, and this is going to become very important with this particular project in terms of how we phase it out. So for example, basically, when we have a project, SED approves that project, and let's say it's a $3 million project that's approved on Belltop School. So that project, when it's approved, we have to wait 5 years from the date of that approval to gain that cost back for a new project. So there are some prior projects that are reducing our maximum cost allowance that will be coming back on the schedule to be able to be utilized over this project term that we're going to be doing. So when we talk about maximum cost allowances, there are two categories. There's construction costs and incidental costs. And the differentiation is very important because construction costs are defined as the costs related to the building itself. So it includes your HVAC systems, the electrical, plumbing, roof, basically everything in the building envelope. And then the incidental costs, there's two different components to that. There's your professional services, so the architect, construction management fees, legal services, the bonding of the project, the fiscal advisor. Those are all incidental costs. But then in addition, site improvement costs, such as paving, sidewalks, athletic facilities, playgrounds, are also considered incidental costs. And the differentiation between these are important because we're limited in terms of what can be aided on the incidental side of the house. And we have a lot of incidental site work related items in the scope of this project. So Jeff talked about no impact to the taxpayers, and that really comes down to local share. So what is the local share? It's your debt service, which is your principal and interest payments, just like you're paying a mortgage. And then you take away your state aid, so that's helping fund that debt service. And the remaining balance is your local share. So that is basically what the district would need to raise in order to fund the project. Basically, it's derived from property taxes. I'm going to now turn it over to Rick Yancey so he can talk more about the details of our finance goals. Rick?
Thank you, Jen. So obviously, a lot of good information to cover, but I think the important part in the next slide is that, this project wasn't created in a vacuum. There's been a lot of hard work, over the years to figure out exactly how much the district can do by way of a capital project and what, if any, impact would occur to the local taxpayers. So the first step in the process, obviously, was our working with the district to create a long-range financial plan to determine where the existing local share was falling off from prior projects, in particular the district's prior 2007 and 2013 projects, which are rolling off of the books, if you will, by way of a local share. So what we determined was that beginning in the 25-26 fiscal year, the district has a pretty substantial drop off in local share of roughly about $2 million. So a very exciting opportunity for the district to bring on a sizable project and a meaningful project to cover all buildings throughout the district. A couple important points, obviously, is the superintendent pointed out that the district's aid ratio is currently at 75%. So when you think about districts throughout the state, the lowest a district could get is 10%. Very wealthy Westchester County, Suffolk, Nassau County districts are at 10%. The highest you could get is 98%. So 75 is a very healthy level. So what we're saying is that 75% or 75 cents of every dollar of eligible cost that's spent by the district and the project is covered by the state. So certainly an important distinction to make, that it's not all on the district taxpayers. A large portion obviously is covered by state aid. One thing we'll point out is when Jen points out about the maximum cost allowance, and we'll talk on the next slide about the details of that, there is a portion of the project, about $19 million, that is above the cost allowance, meaning that it's above the ceiling by which the state sets for each building by way of what they're going to aid on the project. And really that becomes, each building across all the district, with the exception of the high school, which is currently projected to be within the allowance, where you end up with the heavy site work, outside work, fields, parking lots, professional service fees outside of the building. Most districts that engage in large scale site work obviously have an amount that's over the allowance. So that's all factored into the model. And then obviously we talk about the phasing approach, right? So Jen had pointed out this MCA reset. So under state education department guidelines, the maximum cost allowance by building resets every 5 years. So the important distinction here is that obviously with the 2017 project that had been approved over the last several years, those are eventually going to hit the 5-year mark. So when we're phasing in the new buildings for this project, it's phased in a way where we take advantage of the MCA reset on specific buildings so that it regenerates an allowance, so that the prior 2017 project expenses aren't held against the allowance, and it provides for additional building aid that the district can use to fund the project. Additionally, the district had prior authorized a capital reserve fund of $2 million, which we expect to be fully funded, following the next several months prior to the vote. $2 million of prior authorized reserve money that will be funded as well in this project. So the important point is $116 million project, taking advantage of the 75 cents of every dollar paid by the state, as well as a rather significant drop off in existing local share in the 26th fiscal year to fill in that gap and make sure that the district doesn't have an impact on taxes in future years by taking advantage of that drop off to keep things flat in future years. So I think it's an important distinction that it's a great opportunity for the district to do a sizable project. And we'll talk on the next slide about this maximum cost allowance and why the district has had a significant increase in the allowance. So you look back at the 2016 project, and what this chart shows is that in the 2016 project, obviously pre-COVID, we'll call them normal environments for bidding and, costs stabilized. The district had a maximum cost allowance in total of roughly $125 million. So what that means is the state in 2017, under that prior capital authorization, has a ceiling of $125 million of expenses. Because expenses have grown quite drastically since 2017, the state has compensated districts throughout the state for that increase in expenses, and since 2017 has increased the MCA available to the district by 175 million. So what we've seen is since 2017 votes, the state has compensated an additional $50 million in total expenses that can be undertaken and still be within the cost allowance. So I think this was an important slide just to see where the differences are from the state level, from the 17 vote until now, as far as the allowable expenses that would be aided under the SED guidelines. So again, the maximum cost allowance, again, the upper limit, any dollars that are above the cost allowance, by building specifically, right? So if a district had one building that was under the MCA, they're not transferable to another building, they're building specific. So it's very important in this analysis that the work that's been done by the district and the architects and the construction manager and our firm, very detailed analysis of how much is available by building to make sure that the district, in developing the $116 million project, develops it in a way where it maximizes the aid by way of the MCA on a building specific basis. So the next two slides, we wanted to illustrate, graphically what that means as far as local share, right? So in the current 24 fiscal year, in the next fiscal year, the 24-25 fiscal year, it's relatively flat by way of local share, meaning, debt service going out, state aid coming in, how much are the local taxpayers responsible for each year by way of a capital tax? An important distinction is that capital local share is an exclusion for tax cap purposes. So districts throughout the state, and not uncommon, and certainly common practice among all districts, is to keep that local share as flat as possible, to not have peaks and valleys with respect to the capital tax exclusion. So the strategy that we've kind of laid out is that we knew prior years leading up to the 26th fiscal year, the district had a very large drop off in the 26th fiscal year. So you think about the timing to prepare for a project, bring it to the voters, design the project, bring it to SED for submission and approval. That's a 2 to 3 year process. So I think where we are now, when speaking of a vote, in May of 24, is the perfect time to bring that local share back on to keep that local share flat. So the next slide, what we'll show is the strategy that we've worked with the district to develop, is that the orange bar would be the new local share that would be brought on by the $116 million project. And what we're showing to illustrate here is that with that drop off in the blue bar, which is your existing local share, the strategy is to bring this project on at a time where we could layer in the new project such that there's no incremental increase in taxes beyond where we are in the 24-25 fiscal year. So a very well thought out plan. I think a great opportunity for the district to undertake a pretty sizable project to touch all buildings in the district.
Thank you, Rick. So I want to thank Rick and I want to thank Jen for really putting together the financial pieces of this project. At this point, we want to talk about what's in the project in terms of the actual construction work, and we're going to turn the microphone over to Pasquale Marchese, who is our new architect.
Just a quick comment. I want to also thank the team for putting this together. When we talked about doing the RFPs and we said, let's broaden our thinking here. And, you know, this is impressive to see the numbers and how they turned out and using the strategy that you did. So very, very nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Good evening, everybody. Respectful the Board of Education, district official, community members, and partner in crime. So, as Mr. Simons mentioned, my name is Pasquale Marchese. I'm a senior project manager and architect with Labella Associate. Just a quick introduction is, you know, obviously you want to know what is this guy, what he's doing. So I graduated from Florence, Italy. So that's the reason that you hear this voice. It's not just because the microphone doesn't work. But I want to make sure I'm living in the United States for 23 years now. And since 2001, I've been working in K-12 market. And for the last 16, actually, I've been working in the capital region with some other, like I said, partner in crime. So quick introduction, Labella is a well-known K-12 company. We have also other market, but we kind of, we were new in this region. So I'm so pleased to be here tonight. I think I expressed my gratitude already with the district official, but I want to take the chance to express also with the Board of Education. So right now we went through, let's go to work now. So we went through some of the numbers. So, but, you know, 160 million, that's, you know, it's pretty big number. What are we getting for, right? So, and I'm going to try to explain. There is a lot of information, so maybe about we have also timing. I'm going to try to go slow, so at the end we can get some question in case the board has any question. All right. So what are we going to look today? Today we're going to look at what kind of facility are going to be affected by this proposed capital project. And again, we want to emphasize the proposed. So we will look through those facilities. Some of the facility, each facility, we identify a common scope. So some kind of scope that is going to be affecting equally all the facility. So we will look through some example. Then the company, you know, Labella worked through. So we will look some graphics. We will look some completed projects, just to give you an idea what to expect once we're going to present to the voters the project. We will do some graphics. We will help with flyers. We will help with some kind of identify specific area, and we develop a little bit more than just a concept. Then there are some of the facility, they will have some specific, I mush. Okay, sorry. All right, sorry. So each facility, then we identify some specific scope for each facility, because obviously for size, age, and programs, each facility has also different need one to another one. So we will share also those information with you based on the need of each school. We will look through some of the, again, we will look through some of the example through the 45 years of Labella we have been worked, and there will be also some example from personal from my work. And then at the end, we will look at proposed timeline. Like everybody is saying, max cost allowance. We need to make sure that we capture at least 2 rolling clock for the mass cost allowance, so we can retire some of the debt and we can use those debt to fund the next project. So if we start with the common scope, first we look at the facility. So you can see this is not a surprise. For the size of this project, we want to make sure that each facility, based on, like I said, on the age, based on the program, based on the condition, is going to have some impact. This project impact those facilities. So obviously, I'm not going through the list. I think you guys know better than me each of your school. So when we talk about common scope, Mr. Simon mentioned early, you guys are working almost a year at this one. I've been involved in the last, let's say, 4 weeks, but the district has done an incredible amount of work and made my life, I think also Rick's life, a little bit easier. So we did like just some kind of supervision, and based on our professional kind of experience, we can identify what we could include in this project. So the first items, and I think it's the most important, is the trend right now in New York State, is the air conditioning. So we will evaluate each building because one doesn't fit all. So we will evaluate each system then currently we have in a building, and we will provide the AC, enhanced ventilation. Some of the exhausts, they are not currently working. We will replace those. We will work with the current building management system and will enhance, because now you have also another component like AC, so make sure that everything works together. We will upgrade or replace the existing boilers, and also emergency shutdown for a proper backup air unit. So a lot of times in the kitchen, we have all the hoods. Then once you touch, you have to bring up to code. So we will look through those things, make sure that everything is up to code, that there is automatic shutdown. Another common items is renovate all the library. Again, here, all the library are going to renovate, but based on the program, we will sit down with any stakeholder that has to, we will give any feedback, and we will put it together for each school. If it's an elementary school, if it's middle school, if it's high school, we will go through and provide some concept based on, obviously, at the demand. We will create an environment, then it's not a strictly library. Library is evolving with the time. So a library can be a media center, can be a STEM classroom. So we will work with you, we will work with the librarian, because obviously we are going to reduce the number of books that now are going to be digital. At the same time, we provide a space where kids can think outside the box. Again, other general interior upgrade than we usually find when we do this kind of project, because okay, we renovate the AC, we renovate the lights, but then what are we doing with the ceiling? What are we doing with the floor? So it doesn't make sense just do patching here and there. We want to make sure that when people enter in the room is well finished, well presented. So we will have a selected floor replacement. All the deteriorated ceiling or ceiling affected by the scope is going to be replaced. They identify some of the current doors in the corridor. Most of the time, they are not in code compliance. So, and there is a grandfather in, but the fact that we do it so much work, now we're going to upgrade those doors and provide fire-rated door. And then the door, some of the door, they don't have accessible hardware. We will provide every door with this, accessible hardware. Accessible is a replacement for ADA. ADA, they kind of stepped back, so now they're using accessible as a wording. And then selected toilet. So through the years, the district has replaced and upgraded some of the toilet. There's still some of the toilet that need to be upgraded, so we will take care of those items too. There will be a security upgrade. Everybody knows security also is big items. So we will look through. We will work again with the administrator, make sure we identify which door need to be secure, and we provide card sweep. The card sweep will be set up in a certain way. So specific people will have access in specific area of the building, and other area they will not be accessible. So we will be able, Paul and his team will be able to create a tiers of accessible privilege through the building. And then the cameras, obviously. Sometimes we get a blind spot, things happen in school, nobody knows what happened because we have some blind spot. We will work with you guys and with your monitoring vendor to make sure that we will cover any blind spot. Then obviously there will be an electrical upgrade. Everybody knows electrical is the another big trending going on in New York State, not just in school. Electrify New York. So we will work with you, make sure that any new equipment, any new device are high efficiency. We will replace the lights with LED lights that currently are the most efficiency lights. And through this process, we have also at La Bella, we have a big energy department. We will work with you because replacing units, HVAC units, heating, air conditioning units, and any kind of boilers, any kind of lights or electrical device, we can get some incentive from National Grid, NYSERDA. So we will make sure that anything that's out there is available to you guys. We will make sure that we can secure those incentives. Emergency lights, again, emergency exit lights, and then exterior connector. So each building, not all buildings, they have, I believe, an emergency generator now. So we will provide a connector each building. So a portable generator backup can be in case of electric outage, and we can provide some portable generator can be brought on site and power full building. And then again, New York State actually, as an age, has the oldest building through all United States as far as educational building. So guess what? We will find through renovation, we will find any kind of hazard material. Mostly, the most common is asbestos, lead, and PCB. So we will work and make sure that any impact we will have on those kind of material, we will remediation. And we have also environmental on the team. So La Bella, one thing I didn't mention is a full service team. And when I say full service, I will tell you we have our own asbestos lab. So if we need to turn around 24 hours turnaround test, we can do that. Again, plumbing fixture. Lead, it's in the water, it's big issue, especially in New York. Everybody say, I think somebody jinked because everybody said that New York State has the best water. Well, now we start to notice that there are some issues. So we will go through and we replace any kind of plumbing fixture that was replaced in the previous project. We will replace those that will be lead free. And we will provide also the osmosis system that is filtered to stop any kind of lead or metal through the water. So the water that gets out to the other part of the filter is pure water. Again, some other items, some school, the hot water heater is going to be replaced because from some way or another is not providing really hot water in the kitchen in some location. Building envelope upgrade. Obviously, if we do an HVAC upgrade, you don't want to spend money and then literally throughout the windows. So we will do window replacement. We will scan all the building and make sure that we can identify wherever is possible any kind of infiltration where you lose heating or cooling, so that your units that are going to be replaced, they will be really efficient wherever it's required by National Grid or New York State 95 and over. We talk about also at the exterior. We talk about all the doors. Some of the doors are really bad shape because in the previous year, originally in the school, they were using metal door or wood door, even for exterior. There is a new material out there. It's FRP. It's durable. It's long lasting. So we will replace all the exterior door with FRP, fiber reinforced plastic. And then general site improvement. Obviously, one item that Jen mentioned and Rick mentioned is the incidental. So the incidental site work is part of the incidental. So to make sure we can do this amount of site work, including athletic field, we want to make sure we do a higher number, almost 1 to 2 or more. It's the rate 1 to 3. Sorry, it's the ratio between construction cost and incidental. So general site improvement. This is a general, and then we go specifically in school. So we will renovate, upgrade roadway, sidewalk, parking, and some of the school have a high drainage issue. So we will work our civil engineer and landscape architect. They already start working the school with your athletic director Ryan. Okay. Reconstruct sidewalk and curbing. Make sure that we are again accessible. Some of the school, there is no connection between the playground, the field, and your school. So, and we will provide a path because technical by law, you have to provide it from the school to the playground to the field, a path that is accessible. Again, drainage issue. And in 2010, the New York State code came up that any exiting door will need a new concrete pads. Make sure that so some of the, if you look around, some of the school they don't have. So now we will go through, repair the one they are deteriorated, and put a new pads outside the school. Playground, other than the one that have been replaced, we will provide new playground, the remaining of the school. And then these items is a little bit still under evaluation is the pre-K classroom. Currently, we evaluate, there are 2 options on the table. One option is continuing to have a pre-K each of the elementary school. So we will increase and provide 2 additional classroom, or bring the pre-K to and create a pre-K center and have 1 standalone addition of 2 classroom each, or 8 or 10 classroom in 1 school. All right. So they conclude the common scope. And so now, so what are we doing with the common scope? So obviously the community board member, they will just like to see some graphic. What are we presenting to the community? So here are some examples. Then once we met with all the stakeholders and we create those space, we create, this is an example of rendering, an example of space planning. You can see the library is created with flexible furniture. So easily, because the program are changing so rapidly in an education. So we want to make sure that if next year your program change, the library is easy accept the new program with movable furniture, movable chair, movable bookshelf. So, and then if we go to the next slides, we will see that those are some of the classrooms, some of the library media center, and myself and Labella, we work through the years. So we have, you can see a mix of elementary school with cluster, little study group in the area, and then going up to also high school with some of the classroom a little bit more set up like a small group study, small study group. More library. So you see, we have an extensive portfolio, but you know, working for 45 years, I think we have learned a few tricks. So if we can go through again, those are, believe it, you guys have the printed version, so you can look a little bit with the column. because we want to go a little bit on the scope highlights for each site, let's say. So one of the main items are the athletic field. We have, like I said, my civil engineer and landscape architect, they are walking the field, maybe not tonight, but they've been walking through. So in the last 2 weeks, they will walk through each field, each school site, and create a master plan for you guys to bring the project with a little bit more detail. So Jeanette, not T, it's French. Mr. Simon and Jennifer are making fun of that. I say, Jeanette,
We worked on that.
we're working on it. So there are a couple field hockey practice field. They have some issues, so we will look through. We will oversee and make sure that the student have a better, safe field where to practice. Red Mill, we have a new softball backstop and top grace again overseed. Building and ground, we get an in-ground gasoline tank instead of the above ground. Replace some of the overhead doors. Those are really expensive, unfortunately, but you have to provide because the vehicle are changing, fleet are changing, so we want to make sure that no fleet is being stacked under the door. And reconstruct some of the non-accessible toilet room. In a transportation center, we are providing, again, this is the electrical piece. We will provide the electric bus infrastructure for a new electrical bus fleet, emergency generator that will feed all the building. Obviously, being a transportation center, it need to be almost 24/7. We have a lot of snowstorm around here. In case of emergency, the transportation center can operate. And then there are a couple two above ground lift. They will need to be replaced. Now, when we go to Columbia High School, so here is between Columbia and Goff, we have the bulk of the athletic field renovation. And there will be a renovation of grass fields and also a turf. So tennis court, basketball court. We will have a new electric sign for, this is Columbia, sorry, I missed, add the visitor bleacher. I wouldn't add that, but hey, we have to make comfortable everybody, so they understand what's for me.
Every football game I attend, I hear from either Mr. Harkin, Mr. Jones, previously Mr. Leonard, about the need for a visitor site. So
Okay.
that's why I put that in there.
All right. Okay. So soccer and lacrosse practice, we will review the current drainage and make sure that the kids can practice over, even though there's been rain through the day. We will run a fiber between the school and the concession stand. So now you have a data. So if you have a press box, you can even install in the scoreboard, everything can be all connected. We will replace the public address PA with the district-wide public address upgrade, provide the new sound system, stage lighting at the auditorium, crawl space vermiculite removal. This obviously, if we will do some work and we will need to remediate, softball field improvement, and replace the roof at the Columbia. I think it's the only roof really, it's out of warranty currently. When we go to Gulf Middle School, we will provide a full generator to feed the entire building in case of emergency. Julian Road software field improvement, reconstruct locker room. That's really neat. I was there 3 nights ago, we were there. Yeah, they need. Yes, they need. Then Sorensko, baseball field improvement, multipurpose field turf, new 6-lane track with the turfing field, 2 new elevated practice field near the bus garage. And then we will study and provide the concept for a new cover facade walkway. We will see some of the, you will recognize that. The nurse suite, accessible toilet, and corridor lockers in a building. I believe those are all the items. Now we have some example of some of previous. Mr. Simmons maybe recognized the lower left corner.
I do.
Yes, but this is after I did the work.
That was after my time. It does look nice.
So again, those are example: track, baseball field, football field. We can go over other one. So when we do a master plan, this is an example of where we do with the master plan. So if we need, we will see where the best location for each field. We will look through with you guys. We will work with your AD. We will work with your coaches and provide, the orientation of the baseball field, the softball field, when it's sunrise, sunset, make sure that there is no encroachment with the sunrise. If we can go next, this is a court, let's say tennis court that we have done in the past. I've done one closer one, but I didn't have a picture. So then next one, again, athletic. We have a big athletic department for civil engineer and landscape architect. And actually, we have between landscape architect and civil engineer, we have about, I think, 85 people just in LATAM office. So again, those are example. So this is one of the example for the facade at the golf. Then we were looking with Paul a couple days ago. So here you can see there is an example of Queensbury Middle School. So on the top right is how it was before. And then the lower right and left, how is currently at this time. There is a night picture and day picture. And then the top left is the Troy school. So the important things with I can talk more about the Queensbury. So if you can see the existing facade, you can see they had half of the windows that was EFIS or transite. So the classroom, they were pretty dark, even though they had the possibility of a high ceiling. So what we proposed, we open up the windows, put a high windows, and then that's actually is south facing, I believe. So to block any sunrise, we provide a solar shade on the windows. So everybody liked. I still got a lot of compliment about that. So I think we did pretty good. Yeah, we did pretty good, right? Yeah. So timeline. So this is really a preliminary one. I want to give you a little bit what to expect, but we will be working with our partner with Turner. And we will there will be a lot of input for each school, because we have to make sure that each school can handle the kind of construction if there are any like swing space and et cetera. So we will work with our partner in Turner, make sure that there is no disruption of the education area, the education programs, and if there is any event in that case, we will stop the construction. So all those things, they will be put as a timeline in the construction schedule. So let's say if we are going to vote for May, all right? So obviously right now we are in October. Between October and January, we need to finalize the scope that is going to be presented today. And because it's kind of domino effect, one thing comes to the other. Now this is like the earliest to the last we really can go, but we would like, there are overlapping phases that we want to make sure we hit those milestones. So again, finalized scope between October and January 2024, working with Rick, fiscal advisor, provide the board and the community as much information, make sure that everything is clear. Transparency is the first thing. If people, they don't understand, we have to find a way that we make them understand, because you know, we need support for community, we need support for board member, we need support for staff. But if the staff and the community doesn't understand, we will not be successful. So transparency and make sure that people understand what we presented. So secret resolution is a state for impact for state environmental. So any project in New York State has to go to the secret. A lot of times, most of the time, the lead agency is the district, depending, or the municipality agency if it is a municipality project. So it depends on the impact. It can take 30 days or can take 3 months. That's the reason there will be a lot of milestones. They will overlap to each other, and we have to make sure we met those milestones. So the SICRA, we will start between December and March because, like I mentioned, if it is only a short form, that's called like it's just a couple pages, it will be okay. But it's a long form. If there is the same impact, we have to. It will be at least 3 months. So between this time, the board will call for special election meeting. There will be when the board will call the special meeting for May 24th. I got right. No, 21st, May 21st, 2024. Yes. So this is, and then there will be some public notification that has to go through the media, and those are specific. They have to be no less than 45 days from the vote, and no more than the first one cannot be less than 45 days and no more than 49 days. So we have to make sure that if we go from May 21st, we have to go back and we have to make sure we target those dates with the first notification. The other one, they can be every week or every 2 weeks, but the first one is really important. Then hopefully vote May 21st, positive referendum, you know. So then we start our work. We will be working really closely. There is a design phase. Then there is already Jen and Mr. Simpson already talk about New York State Education Department, SED. They will need to review the project. Currently, it's 4 months. We're hoping then when we go through their review, depend on the time, sometimes goes lower, sometimes go higher. So that's the kind of the question mark. Depends when we go, we have to really make sure we target those months. And then there is a bidding phase. The bidding phase depends on the size of the project, depends on how many prime we will bid. It can go between, so municipal law has at least 5 days, but that's most of the time it never happen. We will have always like 4 weeks to 6 weeks most of the time. And then the construction start. We would like to hit construction. So the bid is important because we want to get it the best numbers. So the bid will be important to not be overlapping with the construction time. So we don't want to be too close to the summer because now all contractors are kind of busy. So if they go in after other work, they will raise their premium. So we will pay higher premium just because they are busy and say, I'm going to make more money, but I don't need the extra work. So that's we will work with Turner to make sure we target those dates correctly. So the construction, like all the other schools in New York State, summer is the hot month. We have about 10 weeks, then all the construction can go on. And then there will be construction through the school year But again, we will make sure we don't disrupt the educational program. And then close out. So typically, we go in between summer to summer, plus close out and substantial completion and close out. So let's say if the first, if we go the positive vote, May 2024, we will go in construction May 2025 and close out everything October 2026. Then in the following page, there are multiple phases, because again, we have to make sure that, yes, we have the money, we have the scope, now it's the building. Can that specific school can handle 10 million, 20 million, 30 million of construction? Or can we move kids from one to another one? Okay, so those things here, once we have everything finalized with our partner, we will strategically and logistically make sure that there is no impact on the student. The student is our priority, obviously. So if you look through, we have right now, this draft is scheduled with the 6 phases for the reason that we want to capture the second 5 years max cost allowance. I think with that, I think I'm done. Any question?
Thank you, Pasquale. So this is the time we want to turn it over to ask have the board ask any questions. We took a lot of time in the meeting to present this, but we thought that this was important, that you have a comprehensive understanding of what we're proposing. And again, there's opportunities for the public to look at the details. Pasquale kind of hit the highlights of those project scopes that cross all of the buildings, and then individual projects that are going on in the buildings. There's a big piece of this that enhances education in terms of the library media space, in terms of some other classroom upgrades, in terms of the elementary air conditioning. And there's a big piece of this that enhances our athletic facilities that is based on issues that we've experienced with a lot of kids participating in athletics and some of the fields not being usable during portions of the year because of rain, because of water. And the board in our December meeting said we want to see some educational improvements in the next project, and we want to see some enhancements to our athletic facilities. And I think we've got it all in there. And the good news is repeat what we've been saying all night. We can shift this project into our capital debt service just at the right time as we're retiring a project. And so, and this project can be done, spread out over time with $116 million and no additional impact on the local taxpayer. So I'll turn it over to the board to ask any questions or make any comments you would like to make.
Sure.
I have a question. And it's part comment to, first of all, I want to thank you for the presentation. I could tell it's a lot of work that's been put into it. I love the idea of thinking longer term. It's important that we utilize the state funding that we receive as much as possible to ensure, that we provide our children with the type of education they need with the facilities. So, like my perspective, of what I'm thinking of, I'm looking towards like scope of the project, and I'm sure. This is part of the consideration. I just wanted to echo the sentiment when we think about, fiscal fiduciary and how we approach it strictly. So thinking about like energy efficiency or the type of materials we are using or how we approach the planning of space with that in mind. I know we mentioned some testing about energy with the windows prior to work being done. I would be very interested to see some of the information prior to then understand after those changes are made, what type of results we achieved from it. And also like the type of equipment we are installing. Just being very intentional, because I think, taking on these projects, I'm just looking forward to, how can we reduce operational expenses and utilizing this funding so that moving forward, we put our voters in a better place financially so that not just today or the next 5, but maybe the next 30 and 40 years, So that's just my perspective on looking at this funding. But I think it's a great job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of what we accomplish.
Thank you, Jesse.
One of the things I want to make a comment too about was your
No, I
response?
think there's many components of this project: the roofs, the windows, the replacement of the boilers, the building envelope, all of our energy management steps that we're taking and upgrades that we're taking, and certainly to be able to get the data and present it to the board in terms of the investment of that upgrade and how it's yielding, less usage of energy, more efficient uses of energy down the road, saving the general fund budget. It's a good point, Jesse.
I just want to say too, back to the fields and things like that. One of the things that we can't lose sight of is we have a large community use of our facilities. And part of the attraction to the community is being able to access things like doing things with golf in the fields there where community is close and they can be used constantly from our youth programs, the people in the community to do walking and all those kind of pieces that are included. It's not just for the sports, it's for the community to be able to take advantage of as well. Our tennis courts are used constantly. Our basketball hoops are constant, the fields, just that alone, it's how we build community in a master plan like this to rally around things. So I think we got to make sure that is part of that messaging as well. The classroom space, the pre-K space, we were working on more of a long range kind of planning for that. So I'd be interested to hear more about that down the road, about some concepts around that. Love the idea of the golf entrance and looking at those pieces, and some of the designs I saw for the media centers and workspaces for students were pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to some of that stuff too. So.
One thing I would emphasize regarding classroom space is the formula that the state uses to determine whether or not you have capacity isn't necessarily operational capacity. It's the 27 students per class, but in conversations with the state, you can explain the rationale for why you're adding classroom space, and classroom space for pre-K or any grade level is eligible for building aid, and special education classrooms are eligible for a better reimbursement rate. So as we think about where these classrooms are going to go, how we're going to configure the buildings, it's important to also think about the pre-K program, but think about some of the other spaces within the building that may not be adequate. We've added, since the time these buildings have been built, more special education programs and services, academic intervention services, counseling. So putting more space on the building isn't necessarily a factor of enrollment, it's a factor of program changes, including the addition of the pre-K. I appreciate you bringing that up, Mike. Mark?
Yes, thank you. And I know we discussed this both with Turner and Labella. So the plan would be then that we want to do construction year round, right? We don't want to just do summer work and then we get better bang for our buck, right?
Yeah.
Keeping the project going, continuous from, start to finish. So that is going to be our plan straight through, no stoppage.
We're hoping to have a construction schedule that isn't limited by the summers. As you said, we'll have to talk as we get closer to design and get Turner on board, what those changes might be with each building, timed on whatever the construction is that's happening. But yes, we'd like to have a schedule that enables us to get more work done at a better pace than just having the summer available. And it may require some temporary, changes that are not always comfortable for people. And I talked to the principals about this today to begin thinking about it. But everybody has to keep in mind, it's kind of like you're having your kitchen replaced in your house and you're still living in the house. It's pretty disruptive. But if you can put safety measures in place, you can make sure that you keep a vision on the fact of what's the building going to look like when it's all done. It's worth the transition. So yes, we're going to try to have the project schedule developed in such a way that we go beyond just being able to get the work done in the summer, because the scope of the work is pretty significant. So,
thank you.
So I wanted to clarify on that with Mark, the timeline. Can you go back to slide 35? So if I'm reading this right, we would be constructing or doing these changes that we're talking about today in April of 2028.
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
So the changes that we're talking about today,
Yeah.
would begin to be implemented in April of 2028?
No.
They started in 2025, summer of 2025.
Yeah, summer 2025 is the first target to start construction, and we go through all the way to with the last phase. Again, this is just a really high-level timeline because we have to have our partner input on this. And again, we have to see how much construction each school can handle. And we'll complete right now, October 2029. So start 2025, complete 2029.
So there's a couple different, then I feel like construction phases within this timeline. Is that what I'm seeing? The multiple
Yes.
lines? Okay.
Yeah. So right now it's scheduled as 6 phases.
Oh, okay.
And that's the reason you see, so 2025, 2029, it's 5 years. Like or the member Mark mentioned is we will have some overlapping because we want to do construction, not just specific area. So maybe phase 1 is still in construction when phase 2 will start.
Someplace else.
So to make those, obviously you don't want to wait 10, 15 years to see this thing. I guess everybody's the best interest, especially for the kids, to make sure they get a good facility.
So do you know at this point when I look at this what phase it's in? Is that already
Right
planned,
now,
or
scope
is that part of the
it's
determination?
it's not been allocated in each phase. Again, the phase are really conceptual right now. We have to sit down with our partner Turner and make sure that we want. So if we start the school, we want to finish. We don't want to do a piece one school, a piece another school. So maybe one school would be overloaded in one summer, while the other one would be less. But then we will be a continuation on the other school. And the other piece is the max cost allowance. So they will play a key role. Some of the school have used in the last 5 years, let's say, high cost allowance, so we cannot spend too much money on those schools. So also they will play a role when we create a final schedule of which school is being done first, which one. Some of the school, everything is going to be done at each school, but we want to make sure that we don't pay too much mobilization for if a contractor has to go one time on one school and then stop 6 months and go back at the school. You pay multiple price. So those things here to make sure you get the best of your buck is going to be evaluated. And again, I don't want to speak for them, but I know them for so many years that I think.
So you won't be speaking more shortly. Great. No questions. Okay.
Other questions, comments?
I have another question. I'm also wondering, like, and I definitely appreciate like the cost conscious mindedness that you bring to the project. I could tell, like conceptually, you're already thinking ahead of time, planning, and all of those circumstances. What I'm wondering is just also just as we move through the project, just like for like incidental costs, I'm just wondering just conceptually, like how can we just put parameters around the project that we understand clearly as time goes on, that we're hitting our anticipated expenses or where the overruns are, just making sure that we're on pace to hit our marks.
So and again, I don't want to talk with them, but in our projects, we update the board each month. We will have a construction meeting. Well, probably they will do every day. We will do weekly, and then bi-weekly we will meet with your facility, make sure they are aware. And each month you will get a report from Turner, including us, so our input of how the project is proceeding, how financially, and also as a construction. So those things here, every month you will get a report. And like I said, I know.
You're doing good.
Carl, did you want to comment on anything related to the schedule or any, I mean?
Yeah, again, this is our first night coming in, so we just had a chance to review it at a high level. So for us to do really justice to the conversation, we want to dig in, and we're eager to dig in.
Yeah, great.
With respect to your question, with all the school experience. We have so much history in terms of what fiscal advisors and testing and bond and building risk insurance and all of those things. We know the percentages, we know how to track them. So it is the beauty of having all of that kind of experience is you've seen this past, as you said, Brother
Yep.
Paz, and you have the ability through that experience to manage them. So,
Yeah.
And he did a great job of outlining our communication with you. Spot on.
Yeah, we had the benefit, Jesse, of being part of the RFP process, and some of the communication tools were critical as part of the selection process, and the sharing of information, the software that they use, and the administration can see, and then present some information to the board, and they'll be present just like in they have other projects have been. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Jennifer, do you have a question?
I don't know if I have a question so much as a comment. Just again, I appreciate all the work that went into this. I know there's a lot of factors. I like that we're trying to maximize what we can get from state aid at this point. And I just think it's exciting. I'm excited for the families and the young kids coming in. I wish my kids were going to be in the district a little longer, but it's just very exciting to see it balanced, as Mike said, with the community use as well as the instructional space. Even some of these libraries that are going to be transformed into like media centers, they have potential for community space as well, I would think, as you move things around. So I'm excited.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, we've taken a lot of time. So if there are further questions that the board has, members of the community that are here or members of the community, we will be beginning the process tonight of engaging the community in conversations until we bring this project to a final scope and roll it out to the community, hopefully in the third week of May. We have a lot of work to do. We've done a lot of work. And again, we're just very pleased with the team that we brought to the district now. And we're looking forward to engaging the community in understanding this project and hopefully supporting this project for the benefit of our current students, but also future students. And we're taking a long range view to this project. And we appreciate everybody listening so attentively this evening. I want to thank my team. Paul's been kind of quiet, but Paul did a lot of work to prepare the information for the sheets that you saw this evening. And as Pasquale said, we kind of made it a little easier for him, but not completely easy for him. So Paul, I want to thank you for the work you've done on this as well.
Thanks.
That concludes our
All
presentation.
right, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Let them know they don't want to stay. They don't have to stay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of board business, so I'm sure we're going to see a lot of you. So take advantage of grab something on the way out. And thank you very much again for the time.
Thank you
for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Have a good night.
Nice job. Yes. So our next program presentation is being provided by our department chair for our career and technical education. She's been very patient. She got to hear all that exciting news about the renovations to the facilities. Donna Shepherdson is a business teacher at our high school. She also oversees curriculum development, working with Mr. Stiles in the areas of business education, family and consumer science, and technology. So Donna.
Thank you for introducing me so I don't have to introduce myself.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you
Just
again,
wanted to
Donna.
say this is not my finest hour of the day. I'm really spot on at 7 a.m. So I'm a little, not up, but I'll perk up. You know me. If you know me, you know I rally. Okay, so here we go. So this is our 5-year review for our career and technical education. That's 3 departments: business, family, consumer science, and technology. I am a business teacher, but I am a department chair for 3 really unique departments, but we're all focused on the same goals. So on the first slide, I have a clicker. I will do this. There we go. I'm done.
That's up there.
There we go. There's our team. There's 9 of us. There are 4 technology teachers, 3 business teachers, and 2 family and consumer science teachers. We're in the middle school and the high school. Business department is just in the high school. Family consumer science right now is just in the middle school, and technology is in both buildings, the middle school and the high school. So there we are. And our mission is and I won't read it to you, but basically we focus on soft skills, career exploration, career preparation. We teach a lot of skills. The one I thought of this evening was reminding myself of the one I taught all week. That's patience. You know, that's a tough one, but we're working on that at the high school, patience. So that's a tough one, but we work on all of these soft skills and develop character, and we focus on the real world. Our logo is, and our slogan is a real world, real life, and real education. And we keep it real in our department. That's what we do. So our goals, and again, I'm going to summarize. What do? We connect academic skills and career development. We develop life skills is what we're all about, career and technical education. We are connecting what we're teaching in the high school to the workforce and workplace skills. And we are, some of our other goals are I'll talk a little bit about our pathways and our technical endorsement in a few minutes. And our goal primarily is to prepare college and career ready graduates from this district. So that's what we do in career and technical education. And implementation. One of the things that we have noticed from the past to the present and into the future is we need people to advocate for us. We advocate for ourselves. We are a small department, but we have a very large role in the district. And so we've undergone many changes since the last time that we did walk through a program review. And we find that we just need our stakeholders to support us. That's really important in our program. During the last financial crisis, the recession, we had a lot of staff reductions. Some of you were with us at that time. I was laid off at that time. So, you know, we've been through a lot of pains in our department, a lot of pain. And when we had an economic crisis, ironically, our program was cut, and we teach finance. So, you know, we went from many, many faculty members to only 9 at this point, and that's more about that later. But anyway, we have a lot of strengths, and I'll focus on that right now. We have seasoned faculty. We've been around for a while, multiple years experience. Some of our strengths are we love guest speakers. We love to go out into the community. We love to have not only guests come in, but, you know, field trips, and we participate. Our 8th grade teacher participates in a career jam, which is wonderful for the 8th grade students. At the high school, we participate in the stock market challenge. That's our accounting class goes to that, and that's a wonderful event with other high school students, and it's a real world stock market game. So that's exciting and a strength of our department. Other strengths are 2 of us in the department. Whoops, sorry about that. 2 of us in the department have extensions on our license, so we are work-based learning coordinators, so we can place students out in the field and for internships and those kinds of programming. Another strength we have is in recent, and this is specifically in my department, the business department. We recently, and we're very proud of it, we have 6 college courses through Hudson Valley. So we offer almost more than an entire semester for our high schoolers. They can get an entire semester of college credit and save on tuition. That's 1/3 the cost of tuition. Right now, tuition is costing our students $210. And there's a lot of scholarships available to them as well. If they're on free and reduced lunch, they get the course for free. And so it's a really great opportunity. And in addition to, if they're not on free and reduced lunch, but they share with us a financial need, we do have other ways to provide those courses to them without cost. So we're doing really great things with our partnership with Hudson Valley. We also, let's see here, we have FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, in our department. We have an honor society in our department. And I just want to say that all of the things that we do and you'll see in a minute, everything is growing, 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 growing. So where we were in the past to where we're today into the future, our numbers are growing with our honor society. Our numbers are growing with our future business leaders of America. And I believe it has to do with our pathways and those college courses. That's why we're growing as strong as we are in the business department. I will speak to family and consumer science strengths. Okay, so you were talking about the capital project. So a big strength in the family and consumer science department in the middle school is they had updated classrooms. So I do have a picture on the next slide, which I'll show you, of there's classroom 217, has new cabinetry, 219 has a new foods lab. There we go, some rooms. Appliances, there are 2 wheelchair accessible stations in room 219. Room 221 has new cabinetry to accommodate sewing machines. There's new furnishings in 217 to 221 in the fact suite. So these are middle school rooms. So this is a strength in the middle school. Some updates there. Okay, let's see here. They are FACS teachers. Our 8th grade teacher participates in a lot of field trips with our 8th grade students. They participate in junior achievement. And let me just see here. Yeah, so Career Jam is really great for our students in 8th grade with field trips. Okay, technology strengths. Some updates there. They have at the high school, we have 2 metals. Well, let me see. 2 pieces of equipment in the metals lab, a 50-inch sheet metal brake mill drill, updated technology department facilities at the middle school through the Capital Building Fund. 3 technology classrooms were reconstructed and updated. So I'll show you some pictures of those while I'm talking about them. Classroom 121 in the middle school houses the computer literacy classes. They were updated with cabinetry to adequately store student work. Classroom flow was modernized and technology was updated. Room 146 was gutted and updated with modern cabinetry and built-in student work areas. Classroom flow was restructured and power was updated to adequately support the use of 3D printers and robots. Classroom 142 was also gutted and updated with modern cabinetry and built-in student work areas. Classroom flow was restructured and power was updated to adequately support the use of tools and machines for engineering applied force, as well as the design, engineering, manufacturing curriculum. And new furnishings were installed throughout rooms 142 and 146 technology complex. The 3 updated classrooms, 121, 142, and 146 are now within acceptable classroom square footage per pupil space within the technology education department. And just another side note, not about rooms, but our technology teachers do participate in and help the Science Olympiad teams. So that's just a little side note with the technology department. So in general, some of our achievements, we have, I'm just going to toot our horn. We're going to receive a big award on Friday, the business department, where we are going to be honored at a New York State Business Teachers Conference as an outstanding business department. So I'm very proud of that. We worked really hard. Thank you very much. And we did receive that award one other time in 2004, and believe it or not, I was here then. So anyway, so that's exciting for us. We'll receive that on Friday. So, and we've received some other awards along the way. That's it. We're members of organizations, our professional organizations, Business and Marketing Educators Association, the New York State Business Teachers Association. Again, we work with Hudson Valley with the, I've mentored, and so have my colleagues, we mentor other college and the high school teachers who are doing what we're doing, we've done for a few years. So for example, last year I mentored a teacher from another district who was going to start teaching the financial class at the college. So we try and connect outside of our, connect with Hudson Valley and help them out as well whenever we can. We're very proud that Stephanie Ferlazzo in the business department, she just recently got approved to teach all of our business college courses. So that was exciting. And like I said, we have 6 of those. So now we have more flexibility with scheduling because all 3 business teachers really can teach pretty much every college course that we do offer our students. And we have 3 business pathways. We have, for those of you who don't know, we have a business management administration pathway, an accounting finance pathway, and a computer applications for pathway. Last year, we got reapproval through through the state education department for our management pathway. This year, we are doing the work to get reapproval with our accounting finance pathway and our computer applications for business pathway. So believe it or not, we've had these programs already for 5 years, and every 5 years we need to have reapproval. So we are working on 2 additional reapprovals this year, and that'll be good. We'll be good for another 4 years before we need to do that again. Yay. Okay, so here is a picture of our pathway students, and our numbers are increasing. Last year, there were 5 students, but some of those students were in multiple pathways. Doing the math this year, we're close to 13 students, and I'm sorry, I didn't check before I left, but there were like 18 to 20 pathways this year. So we're improving our numbers all the time, and students are really interested. I have one young man this year, 3 pathways. So he's taken every single business course we teach. So that's very exciting. Okay, so, there you have that. And some other achievements. Let's see, thank you. We've had approval to do some curriculum writing over the years. We've rewritten curriculum for our web design course. We are very happy to report we have 2 computer labs, and in our 2 computer labs at the high school, we have Office 2021 on them, so that's exciting to have the latest and the greatest. We did get a new book to teach the college course using Office 2021. We are getting, thanks to Hudson Valley, they are giving us new computers, new furniture, and new cabinetry. Some of it's in, and it will be installed, I believe, during December break. So our Hudson Valley lab is in the high school, S122, and it is getting some really nice upgrades there. And there was some curriculum writing for the home and careers skills class at the middle school in 2017. And let's see here. Oh, the original fax suite in the middle school, room 217, and adjacent storage room had an upgrade, and it was used by other departments, but it's been reclaimed for a fax classroom, so that's good news. And there was some curriculum writing offered to our technology teachers. We had a rewrite of a course, a 6th grade course, Engineering by Design, that was robotics, coding, and computer literacy. We had a 7th grade Engineering by Design upgrade, or curriculum rewrite, technical and practical design, engineering, and manufacturing, and an 8th grade Engineering by Design course had some curriculum writing. So thank you to the board for all of our opportunities to rewrite our curriculum, because business and technology and facts, it's always changing, like every other discipline, right? Change. So thank you for that. Okay, now for the bad news. Okay, that was great, right? Okay, now for the weaknesses. All right, so, okay, sad news. We were 17 faculty in 2006, 2007. I've been here that long to tell you, it was wonderful, robust. Some of you were here to see our wonderful family and consumer science department at the high school. It was phenomenal. And then, bad times hit us all. And so we had a reduction. So from 17 people to 11 in 2011, 12 to now 9 of us. So that's like a weakness. We'd love to see family and consumer science, some of that come back at the high school. It was a wonderful program with gourmet cooking and fashion design and really great courses that I think is really lacking. And a lot of young people want to go into these fields and they have no opportunity to give it a trial run. So I'd love to see that come back. And also our child development classes and our elementary, education opportunities to learn about child adolescence and all that kind of coursework went away. So that's some of our weaknesses. And our high school technology rooms are not looking very nice. They're kind of old, and we have N104 there, and same room, different pictures, but they could use some updating. So that's all I'll say about that. Well, we need some updating there. They having some problem. Yeah, the rise of cost of goods. So in the middle school, the family and consumer science dollars aren't going as far as they used to. So they still cook at the middle school, and so the price of groceries, as we all know, has gone up. So that's a problem. They've had to limit what the experiences that they can offer to the middle school students at Goff. So that's a problem. And we also have reduced at the high school, as I said earlier, the FACS courses. We no longer have a family and consumer science department at the high school. So we went from 15 courses in that department years ago to 0 today. So that's unfortunate. And then I think we're good there. Oh, and we do have some weaknesses with our internship class. So I'll just address that briefly. That course, our internship class, in theory, is a wonderful and exciting opportunity, but it presents a lot of problems for our department. The major one is scheduling. That course has to be scheduled at the end of the day. Students need to have a car to get to the placements. And typically we don't get the numbers that we really need to support it. We feel our services are best suited in the financial world, teaching finance, because that's where our student interest lies in learning about financial literacy. So something we need to address is the internship class and how to maybe work on a solution. Right now, we did not offer it this year. We offered another section of finance, and finance, it's for college credit, and it is filled. So we had to make that decision, and we're thinking of running the internship class every other year as a solution to that problem. Okay, so some recommendations. And I know you've heard this many times before, and I'll just sum it up by saying, we're going to need more teachers. I just sum it up by saying that. I know teachers are hard to find, and times are tough in that regard, but we do have a seasoned staff, and our staff is at the tail end of their careers. So something to think about there. Okay, and some additional recommendations. We have a business math course in our department that counts as a third year of math for graduation. It's a wonderful course. We do have a special education population, oftentimes in it. We have a mix of students just taking it for an elective, and then we have students who have IEPs and 504s and other students that are classified. And so we used to have a special education teacher push in. I taught it for many years, and it was wonderful to have that support of a special ed teacher. We do not have that anymore. We don't have that support, and that makes it very difficult in that particular course at the high school. Also in the past, and I did teach this course, is a parenting financial literacy class. It was required of all students for graduation, juniors and or seniors, but it was a graduation requirement. And half of it was taught in the Family and Consumer Science Department, 10 weeks of parenting there, 10 weeks in the business department, financial literacy. Every student took it. It was wonderful. Again, Financial Times, that had to go away. So we'd like to maybe see in the future bringing back some kind of course requirement for every student with some life skills, some parenting, some financial literacy. We do have a course in the department called Career and Financial Management. All CTE teachers are certified to teach that. We'd love to see every student take that course in our perfect world, because it's a wonderful course, and it helps not only for your own life, but for your future work life, et cetera, et cetera. Almost done. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, and then I'm not sure if you're aware of this, so I want to make mention that there is also, in addition to the internship class, there's a part of an extension that my colleague and I have that's called Cooperative Work Experience, Co-op, its nickname is. And it's for students who already have a job out in the workplace. And they can get high school credit by working at, say, Taco Bell. So maybe we want to consider bringing that back because a lot of our students do work and some students are challenged getting their credit to graduate from high school. So I'm thinking maybe that might be a good course to readdress back at the high school. There is seat time, but most of the time is out in the workplace. Okay. And that ought to do it. Thank you so much for listening. And do you have any questions for me?
Comment.
Okay.
Thank you, Donna, for coming. Appreciate it. Nice seeing you again.
seeing you.
So we did have our meeting on Monday. We discussed our board goals for the upcoming year. And, we incorporated in our goals CTE because we are advocates of that. Not every student in our district wants to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy to see all these offerings and try to get some more, right? But thank you for that because I'm very passionate about our CTE in providing a pathway for all our students to succeed when they graduate high school. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add that students who are in our college courses, they do not need to take it for college credit. It's the same course whether they're in there for the credit or not. So, we call it is a college level course, but it's something every student can be there and learn it. It's not not, for everyone. Our courses are for everyone. So we pride ourselves on that
Yes.
fact.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to thank you, Donna. I want to also commend the department, positivity in that department through all the ups and downs over the years has been phenomenal. You saw cuts and you worked through them and moved on and did the right thing for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne, I really appreciate that. We go back and I have taught many of your children on the board. And so that's been my pleasure. So thank you for allowing me to also teach your children.
And with that point, thank you. But I also want to share the parenting class. One of my sons brought home the drug addicted, battery operated baby that was up all night long. We haven't forgotten that.
No, they would cry in class. It wasn't fun, but that's real life.
But he learned something.
Right.
I had a brief comment and I think the program's really great too. I think the idea of offering business and coding when we think of future-driven education aligns directly with what we represent as a Board of Education. I also appreciate hearing some of the stories of some of the students who are taking all of the pathways together, and it's very commendable that would occur. I'm also interested just to think about why the loss of the support teachers, just making sure that we continue to make these programs invaluable to everyone in our community and that anyone interested will have the necessary supports to pursue any type of education that they could be equipped for the future. So I would be just curious just about that component. But no, I think it's a great program and we should try to push, future-driven education and offering it to everyone.
Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you for this presentation, and I pull this card a lot as the youngest board member. I think that that's still true. I'll check on that later, fact check. I do appreciate this, and I have to say that I took business classes in high school, and it really stemmed my love for business. I went to school for it, and I'm still tangentially in that sort of operation or organizational operation. But I think that these are so important and so valuable. You hear students graduate not knowing anything about finance, how to manage anything, and we're past the times of checkbooks, balancing checkbooks, but how to manage your finances and those sorts of things. And and also the soft skills that you spoke of are so important. And I really appreciate this work and see its value. And I hope that, as a board, we can think about that, those weaknesses and try to address some of them.
Thanks, Emily. Someone else? All right.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay,
Donna.
thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
patience. Appreciate it. That concludes your reports, Mr. Simons?
Yes, it does. Thank
That's
you.
what
Mr.
you
Chairman.
usually say this. All right, thank you, everyone. The next items, we have 3 items for discussion items that I hope we can move through quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the first one over to Jen Mulligan, our Director of Business and Finance. Annually, we recommend to the board, after looking at our position from the prior year, where we want to maybe increase our reserves. You heard some references this evening to the capital reserve. There's some actions we want to ask the board to take later on this calendar year in December to increase the capital reserve to align with some of the financial projections that you received this evening. But Jen's going to give a report on where we ended up with the 22-23 school year and our recommendations to adjust reserves, which are bound by state education department regulations in many cases. Jen?
Thank you, Mr. Simons. On the agenda, there was a report that provided an overview of fund balance at June 30th, 2023. Just with the transition and some staffing challenges, we're working through the audit process right now. We have a pretty solid projection of what the June 30, 2023 unassigned fund balance will look like. In accordance with real property tax law, there is a limit of 4% of the subsequent year's budget of unassigned fund balance. So basically, unassigned fund balance is what is left over at the end of the year after you have all of your revenues, less all of the expenditures that go out the door. So our projected fund balance at June 30, 23 is estimated at $5,159,604, which is about $807,000 over the 4% threshold. So the 4% threshold is calculated based on the 2023-24 voter approved budget, which was $108 million. And that limit is $4.3 million. So we're looking to what should we do with this excess fund balance to maintain compliance with the real property tax law. So one of the things, obviously I'm new with the district and I'm getting a handle on all the financials. And I took a look at the reserves. And on the last page of the document, there is a chart that summarizes all of the reserves that are within the general fund. So at the start of the 22-23 fiscal year, there were a total of $17.8 million in reserves that are comprised of workers' compensation, unemployment, employee benefits and accrued liabilities, which is to pay out any vacation or sick time based on contracted benefits, teacher retirement system reserve, employee retirement reserve, and then we have a couple of capital reserves, one that was established in 2022 that has a balance of $750,000, and then we also have a bus reserve that is at $1.2 million. And then the last group of reserves the district has is for tax certiorari's. So these are claims against the assessments, the taxable assessments for certain properties. So every year for our law firm assists us when evaluating what those claims exposure is. And the district has established reserve funds every year that allows us to fund them in the event that there's settlements related to those reserves. So each year we go through and we get a report on what those updated claims are, and we put a new reserve on the books. We close out the reserve that is 4 years old, and then we also look to right size the reserves in between years based on the status of existing claims. So so with that balance at the start of the fiscal year, June 30th, 22 of 17.8 million, we're looking to do a few things here. So the first area is that tax certiorari. So once we right size that, it actually, we closed out the 2019, proposed to close out the 2019 tax certiorari reserve, and then also reduce the 2020, the 21, and the 22 reserves, and then establish the 23 reserve at 902,000. That net result of right sizing those reserves for those years is actually a reduction of about $420,000 in those reserves. What then happens, that actually ends up rolling back in to the general fund balance and is creating part of that $800,000 surplus of excess fund balance. So, so that would be the first step. So there is a proposed resolution for tonight to adjust those reserves, which will result in an ultimate decrease of about $420,000. So then when we're looking at that excess fund balance, in what areas are we in need of funding? And we're looking at the bus reserve. So traditionally on an annual basis, the bus reserve has been funded. Several years ago, the funding level was at about $250,000. Last year, it was upwards of $500,000. And I did provide a chart in the document that shows the status of what that reserve fund was. So it started at 1.2 million. During 22-23, we did have bus expenditures of about $800,000. There is state aid. That state aid reimbursement is about 66-67% that comes in. And then any additional funding that goes into the reserve establishes that new balance. So one of the things I wanted to look at is projecting out, because we are partially into 23-24. The voters approved expending out of the bus reserve to purchase 8 buses during the 23-24 fiscal year, 4 larger buses and 4 smaller buses. And so the cost of those buses is about $961,000. So when we look at bringing the bus reserve from the prior year all the way to the current year with the estimated aid that will come in 23-24, we're basically keeping the bus reserve in a balanced level with pulling in that $810,000 of additional funding from the excess fund balance. So that's the other proposal that we have on for tonight, is to fund that reserve, $810,000. So with that, Mr. Simons had mentioned the capital reserve. So one of the other pieces of that I'm evaluating is looking at how are the other reserves funded. And in the area of the retirement reserves, TRS has some established limits. You can't have more than 10% of the eligible salaries in that reserve fund. So there's still room to continue funding that. The ERS reserve is sitting at about approximately 50% of the ERS salaries. So that is about 4 or 5 years of annual expenditures. So there is an opportunity to transfer some of that reserve into the capital reserve to bring that funding up to the $2 million, which we have included as proposed funding in the capital project, if that's approved. One of the procedures to do that is we would need to hold a public hearing to to hear from the public whether or not there's any comments on liquidating that reserve, and then there'll be a resolution to transfer that money into the voter-approved capital reserve. And when you establish that voter-approved capital reserve, it included various sources of funding, and the transit, these two reserves can work together legally. So that's a little bit, I mean, there's a lot there. Still getting arms around, the reserve status and the financial status, of the district. However, I think these are good opportunities to continue funding the bus reserve, to continue with the purchase of the buses, even if they're just diesel buses at this point. I know we're looking to EV buses at some point in the future, but the buses continue to get more expensive. So we want to make sure that we're able to do that on a regular basis. So is there any questions?
I would just add, I asked Jennifer when she was first hired to really take her time and look at our reserve position for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that all of our reserves are appropriately funded, but we also want to put ourselves in a good long-range position to be able to meet whatever comes in terms of our district stability and the state budget situation. So these recommendations that Jen are making tonight for you to approve basically adjust the tax surcharge reserves into the limit of what we have out there in terms of possible claims, and basically refreshes the transportation reserve, which we know we're going to be buying some additional buses. And we're talking right now with Wanda about the possibility of starting slow with a few electric buses. There is a grant program now available to the state, which will reimburse districts for the difference in the cost between the diesel buses and electric buses. We were talking about that right now. We'll have more to come on that, but we're going to need more money in that reserve to continue our bus replacement fleet, but also start slowly with some higher cost buses, which are the EV buses. So I think Jen's spot on in her recommendations this evening.
Any questions? No, thank you, Jen. Very, very good analysis. I also think the recommendations are right on. I think it right sizes, I like the word you use, right sizing some of the reserves. It's always important to look at these monies because they are put for a purpose and to rebalance, right size. And then, of course, the capital reserve is something that will help the taxpayers in the long run in terms of utilizing that instead of going to the local share, which is was mentioned in our presentation. So very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay. Next discussion item. I think the board members brought this forward about the therapy dog.
Yes. We've had another teacher who's been very patient this evening, Sandra Yovine, who is a 6th grade math teacher at Goff Middle School at Mr. McHugh. They want to talk to the board about replacing the therapy dog. Bandit left us, and Baxter is being prepared for serving in a role at Goff Middle School. So I'll turn it over to Mr. McHugh. We have had therapy dog programs approved in the past. One here at Belltop. There's a dog currently being trained here at Belltop, and this is just a little pup that just arrived at Sandra's home, and she showed me some pictures before the board meeting. But we just want to make sure that we understand the program, the training requirements, and the design of the program and the liabilities associated with the program. Mr. McHugh.
Thank you. Good evening. We wanted to make everybody aware of the fact that we do have a faculty member, Sandy, who has a therapy dog in training. His name is Baxter. We are aware of the East Greenbush Central School District guidelines and procedures, and we know we have several steps to follow before we can welcome Baxter into Goff Middle School. But I just wanted to let folks know that Sandy has encumbered all the costs associated with Baxter. It is her dog, and Baxter is in training with Sandy Yovine, and Baxter will eventually be TDI certified. That's Therapy Dog International Certification. Sandy will eventually be registered as Baxter's handler once the required training has been completed, and we are Sandy's following all the guidelines in regards to vaccinations and immunizations, and the dog is up to date according to the dog's age. There's a few more that are scheduled.
2 weeks, yeah.
And in regards to being neutered, which was part of the policy, the dog is too young to be neutered at this time. And Baxter cannot actually take the official TDI test until he is 1 year old. However, part of that training does include Baxter becoming a little familiar with the surroundings that he would be. So at this point, we are looking to let Baxter come in a little bit to get associated and familiar with Goff Middle School. I do see the benefit. People have welcomed me at Goff, but they have quickly recognized the fact that I don't have a dog. One of the tricks when we do have some escalated behaviors and we have students experience anxiety, one of the strategies is to distract them a little bit and redirect their attention to other things. So the therapy dogs are great in the buildings. I understand, legal implications. I've read through those and I understand our guidelines. So tonight, just wanted to let you know that we do have Sandy who has a dog, and the dog is in training. So any questions or comments, we'll do our best to answer them.
I just have a general comment. Thank you for being here, and I'm sorry it's this late that you guys are here. I had questions to Mr. Simons, and my questions went around the fact of, is he really a therapy dog? And Jeff and I went back and forth until he is actually certified. For us to be saying he is a therapy dog, I think might be a little misleading. And my recommendation would be to propose it, let the parents know that it is a therapy dog in training.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. I've seen what it does for kids, and I'm fully in support of it.
We've also been reviewing the insurance requirements. The district's insurance policy does cover some liability associated with the dog, but is recommending that we also have an individual policy, and we're going to work with Sandy to figure out how to do that. Once the training has occurred and finished with the organization, they do provide insurance as well, as my understanding. So
I have a comment as well, and I definitely think it's a great idea, and I think it's great that you take on the responsibility of caring for this dog. I think I saw one of the pictures that got sent around, and so
Just 3 pounds right now.
get out of here.
Like the size of your shoe. That's how big the dog is.
That's awesome. So I was just wondering if there's anything that we can do, to support your efforts. I heard you say that you're bearing the cost yourself, but this dog is for the district. And I just think, the more that we take care of people who help take care of our kids, including our educators, I think we should give consideration to some of the extra efforts put in. So I just wanted to just post that.
I think that's a good point. They're expensive. One of the things that Marty Mahar did, Marty's here, he has a lot of experience in bringing in our first therapy dog, Augie, several years ago, was he worked with community organizations, the Central School Rotary, as well as the PTO to provide some funding. And I think the district has incurred some funding in the past. We kind of try to combine community contributions and maybe some district help. So because it is an expensive proposition.
My biggest thing is where I do ask for your support is from all of my research with dogs, their prime socialization is between 8 and 16 weeks, where their brains are sponges and they learn to adapt in the environment that they're in. My concern is that if I wait too long to bring him into the building, that he'll have a hard time adjusting. It's kind of like if you introduce an infant to a new language, how they can absorb that. And we as adults can learn it, but it's more difficult for us to do that. That's very similar for dogs. So through all of my training of working with Bandit, I have numerous dogs of my own.
That is the most important thing because middle school, if you've been there, it's loud, it's chaotic, it's a water bottle slamming,
Hey,
it's.
hey, hey.
The boss is here.
It's not that loud.
It's exciting. It's wonderful.
Thanks,
active, stimulating.
So that is my one ask is that if I could, even if it's in a limited capacity, just start introducing him to the building, the students,
Yep.
the different staff, the different rooms where he would be in. I think it'd be highly beneficial in the success of the program moving forward.
One of the parts of the dog's training is to bring the dog to the board meeting too. Don't forget about that, right? Because we're chaotic and, noisy. And
We are aware of the regulations, and the therapy dog in training can't be anywhere where food's consumed or, so there's areas in the building, like the cafeteria, that are off limits. If we do have your approval, I'll put out another parent communication that it's a therapy dog in training, and that it'll be here sporadically in the building. So we'll wait to hear from you, and we'll proceed accordingly.
yeah, we can just do informal.
Mr. Comfortable?
Yeah, everyone's good.
After hearing the information, just kind of verbally authorize you to go forward?
Yep.
Thank you for your.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and
Thank you for
sharing.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate
you.
it and taking on responsibility.
Thanks.
And I was serious about bringing the dog to the board meeting. We saw Augie a few times. Right? Excellent. The next item is the proposed budget calendar district vote for 24-25.
Jen, I don't know if you want to just quickly highlight some of the legal required dates. We also add some dates of board meetings that are flexible in case we need an additional meeting if the state budget, for example, isn't fully developed and we have to wait a little bit to propose our budget. But Jen, just kind of, if you could highlight some of the legally required dates on the calendar.
Yep, so the statewide voting day is May 21st, 2024. So there are certain dates where we have to mail out, have a budget adoption by April 9th of 24. That would be by the Board of Education. When candidate petitions are due in April, and some certain, sorry. It's 9:30 at night, sorry. A lot of information tonight. So there's a variety of dates, and then we also have a plan, to meet with, working out a plan to meet with different programs and departments throughout the process. And really the first budget workshops will be starting in March in order to meet those deadlines of having the budget adopted in early April and then ultimately go to vote on May 21st. So.
Good.
Any questions?
Looks good. Thanks, Jen.
All right, so that concludes discussion items. Next, we have the regular business, which includes two of the items that Jennifer talked about. Tax tertiary reserve funding. Any questions or comments on that? Need a motion to approve? Jesse, second. Joanne, all those in favor? Approved. Next item is the bus purchase reserve funding for 22-23. Any questions on that? You have a question mark? No. Oh, motion? Second? Jess? All those in favor? Approved. And then the snow removal bid, I don't know much about this. This is the typical one.
Yeah, I believe this is the same company that currently provides the
yeah.
snow removal services. Isn't it, Jen?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Questions or comments? Seeing none, need a motion to approve that. Somebody? Mark, second. Cheryl, all those in favor? Approved. Moving on to committee reports. We'll start with Marissa with a brief staffing update.
Thank you, Mr. Buno. I will just do some highlights. For our instructional vacancies, we have a .2 art teacher position. It would teach one period of cartooning. We were not able to find a certified candidate, but we did find an uncertified individual that has a bachelor's of fine arts and is looking to pursue teaching certification as an art teacher. So we would, be willing to give that individual this opportunity. They are currently right now working on the background check and fingerprint clearance. Earth science, we had one candidate. They are going to be interviewing with us in a final round of interviews at central office on Friday. We have a few teaching assistant positions open. Automotive mechanic interviews are scheduled for Friday morning. In terms of our database specialist, we had a very large interest. We had well over 15 applicants. So Mr. Goodwin and his technology team have been conducting 2 full days of interviews. The first full day occurred on Monday, and then on Friday will be the second full day of interviews. We are hopeful to make a recommendation to the board for appointment at the November meeting. Colleen Wise and I have conducted our last vacancy in the food service department. We do have someone that is working on the fingerprint clearance. We have an insurance technician opening in Mrs. Mulligan's office. Those interviews have been scheduled for Friday. We're bringing in all applicants that applied. Everyone was well qualified. We have a couple of monitor vacancies, and then we are also still recruiting for a payroll specialist. That posting closes on the 23rd, and we are working on solidifying an initial interview date for early next week. And then lastly, we have our Janae typist position. That's the direct typist to Mr. Grignon, and he is working on building level interviews right now. Does anyone have any questions?
One
Mark?
question, and it's also part on the consent agenda. I see one of our longtime tenured teachers, Mr. Hurd, is filed for retirement, and sorry to see him go. Been an asset to our technology department, and obviously wish him well in his retirement. Is the plans to post that, fill that?
Yes. So that position has been posted. We first, based on contractual obligations in the EGTA agreement, we post internally to see if anyone's interested. And it's also at the same time being posted externally as well right now. And we are working with communications with some of our colleges to see if they have any students that are graduating within the technology field that might be interested in joining our team.
Thank you.
So Monday, I had my first committee meeting at the district, which is the Health Insurance Review Committee. And this actually meeting was scheduled pretty quickly. One of the things when I first came on board over the summer is I met with Amsher, who is our broker involved with the health insurance and the Kashik Health Insurance Consortium. And when I had that meeting, they had provided some opportunities for efficiencies within the business office. And in the one area was in terms of retiree health insurance billing. So currently the retiree health insurance billing completely is done by our insurance technician, who is unfortunately leaving us, and we are trying to fill that position. So we did a little bit more fast tracking on wanting to take a look at this opportunity. And Amshore does this service as part of their relationship with the Kashik Health Insurance Consortium. So there's actually no additional cost to the district to have them administer our health insurance billing. So basically we're looking to transition this for a January 1st date. So we wanted to inform the stakeholders on the Health Insurance Review Committee about what the transition would look like. And basically all the retiree health insurance payments will be billed by Amshore. They would collect the payments. There would actually be an opportunity to have an electronic funds transfer, which has been a request of some of our retirees to be able to have automatic payments. So we provided that information, and we need to get moving on the transition to be able to have that. And the people on the committee seem to be very receptive to it, and there'll be communications to the retirees. We would still accept payments. So that would be communication between us and Amshore. If we do payments come in, it would be a slow transition for our retirees to just nudge them to make their payments, towards AmSure, and they would also track any delinquent balances. So, so we're looking to take advantage, of this opportunity when we've had some staffing challenges within the business office. So we're excited for that.
And I agree, and I would definitely support, but like you said, I want to make this as easy as possible for, our retirees. I don't want to make it too hard for them or too cumbersome, so I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, so actually the billing process will look virtually identical. What we do at the beginning of the fiscal year is we provide them with coupons so they can turn them in to pay them throughout the fiscal year. So they'll be provided a new set of coupons. The other piece that is a really great advantage for retirees that are part of the Medicare Advantage products, the rates are renewed on January 1st, and there's actually going to be some decreases in the Medicare Advantage rates. So we're able to, pass that on sooner rather than waiting till July 1st. So that's another opportunity. We will have a plan, and some of our committee members, there's retiree representatives of the unions. So we would provide communications to them first. So then that way they can communicate with their retiree reps. And then there'll be a communication that comes out from the district in concert with AmSure to provide them with updated coupons, with a new mailing address, an opportunity for electronic funds withdrawal. And we know payments are still going to come into us. We'll still accept them. And, we'll gently, over communicate just the new direction that it needs to go in. So we're still here to answer the phone, answer questions on benefit questions. That part is not changing. It's really just the administration being lifted out of the district offices and being placed with AmSure.
Right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Thank you. So we had our first social emotional learning committee meeting on October 12th. I'll just be brief on some of the highlights. So I introduced Dr. Pennick, our new director of PPS, who is not only going to be a member of the committee, but after speaking with her when she came on board, she's going to chair the committee for this upcoming year. We really thought that the social emotional learning work that we're doing really fits in well with her role as director of PPS. So she was very excited to, moving forward to be chairing that committee. I gave a couple updates on some of the professional development that we're focusing on this year. So I was very excited that we are able to partner with a woman by the name of Rebecca McGinn, who's working in our elementary schools and doing some embedded professional development that's going to be focusing on social emotional learning, trauma-informed schools and classrooms. I believe she's already been in actually all 5 of our elementary buildings, and the feedback that I've received from the principals has been very positive. The feedback that I think they're receiving from their staff has been really positive as well. Her first visit, she's really spending a full day within the schools, trying to really get an understanding of the school climate, the culture, meeting with different faculty members, meeting with students, meeting with the principal, and then from there, the work that she'll be able to do is really going to be tailored towards what the building needs from her, which I think will be, just a benefit. And we're really hoping to have, again, kind of have a long-term plan with our social emotional learning, and Ms. McGinn being part of that, I think will be a great addition. Also going along with that is, so at last year's New York State School Boards Association conference, Mr. Simons and myself were able to meet with an organization called Same Here Global. We had some follow-up meetings with them. And then last year, Mr. McHugh at the middle school was able to bring them in for a session on one of our professional development days. It was not a required session. It was an optional one. He had some really positive feedback, and I believe he was part of the session. So after speaking with him and speaking with Mr. Harkin, we really felt like bringing that organization in to work with our middle school and high school on a long-term plan really fits nicely in as a transition to some of the zones of regulation work that we're doing at the elementary school. So gave an update with that organization. We do have them coming in on our November 1st Professional Development Day, and all afternoon that's going to be working with our middle school and high school, the whole faculty, and those are going to be required sessions.
Excellent.
So really excited about that, and we actually have him planned for another follow-up session later this year. And we really, the rollout will start with our faculty, and then, it will be going to working with students and then also working with our community as well. So really excited about that. I can see that really being a 2, 3, 4-year plan working with that group.
Nice.
Had Ms. Mahar just give an update on the zones of regulation pilot that we're doing in our elementary schools. Got some really great feedback. Staff are, really liking it. Students really liking it. Again, with it being a pilot, I think we're learning as well. Kind of some of the feedback from the teachers that are piloting the program is that we maybe were a little too ambitious in terms of the amount of lessons that we wanted to teach in that time frame. So we're really kind of just looking at that. And I think it's going to be a really positive thing that, I have the feeling that we'll be implementing K-5 next year in all classrooms. And then lastly, again, I had Ms. Mahar give a little overview on how we're tying in our SEL work with our multi-tier system of support. We do a lot of work around the academics in terms of ELA and math with the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 interventions. And then, working on how can we get some of those behavioral, those SEL interventions also within that plan.
Thank you, Roy. I know Emily has to head out to. So thank you, Emily. Thank you, Roy. So you're going to gently slide out, grab some treats if you want.
Gotta feed the baby.
Yeah, feed the baby.
Yes. Very important.
Critical.
Mr. Bruno, I have no committee reports.
Thank you.
See a sense of relief.
A little bit. All right. Good evening, Emily. We have no table motions. Old business, board members, nothing. And moving on to our consent agenda. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Mr. Bruno, can I ask a question of
Yes.
you and the board? We put the budget calendar on as a discussion item. It would save us some space at a future meeting and give us more time if we just ask the board to make a motion to move that to the consent agenda and approve that tonight. It'll save some time at a future meeting.
Well, that would be wonderful. Any opposition to that? No? Okay. So we'll move we'll include in the consent agenda, the 24-25 proposed budget calendar and district vote dates that are on there to the consent agenda. So any other questions or comments on that consent? All right. Seeing none, I need a motion to approve by consent. Jesse, Joanne, second. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to thank Jeannie because she is the wizard of all of those important board dates. So thank you, Jeannie.
Thanks, Gene. And as Mark mentioned, Mr. Hurd is retiring, so yes, big loss, but we wish him well in retirement. We have no addendums, new business, board members? Okay. Mark?
Several things that,
Several things. This document here is fantastic. I mean, I don't know, what this, Jen, our team.
Yep.
This is, if you get a chance, I mean, really take a look at this. It really dovetails nicely with the, I don't know why I'm talking about it now, but it's new business. This really lays out everything that we're doing in the buildings, the proposals. So if you want to really kind of dive into this, I recommend it because this is going to, but we're going to, if this goes through and the work we're going to do to plan this, this is going to be what we're going to be focusing quite heavily in the next several months.
So Jennifer and Paul Bickle.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Bickle. Thank you, Paul.
Yep. So
Excellent.
this is really the culmination of all the work that,
Yeah.
Paul and the district had done related to the building condition survey.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this is basically the information that came out of the pre-referendum work that LaChase had done.
Yep. Yep.
And then we pulled it together and sorted it in such a way. There's just a couple things. The very last page of that document includes things that are excluded from the scope. The entire LaChase pre-referendum work amounted to over $148 million. So the project is sized at 116. So as Mr. Simons has mentioned, the scope, things may come in, come out of that. And there are some items at each building level that is built over 116. At the moment, there's about 120 in there. So
Yep.
that's where the scope of this project really needs to be refined with the phasing
Yep.
and everything else. But
Yep.
a lot of this work had happened well before even the summer had come around with Paul's team. So
Go for 148.
Good to make the financing work as well, right, Jeff?
We're going to be sending this out to the principals for comment as well. We told them we wanted to provide it to the board first, but
Yep.
they know it's coming. They can take a fine look at it and see if there's anything else that they notice that we may not be aware of regarding their buildings. So
Great, thank you. Next public forum? Anyone? No, good. We're down to just a few folks now, so thank you for participating. Board forum, our semi, Joanne, all right? Jesse? Jennifer? Mark? And Cheryl? Cheryl's worried about our car out there.
Yeah, hope it's still there.
One brief
Jeff,
thing.
yes.
The gift bag on the table, we certainly can't top the students' gift to you, but that's a gift from myself, Central Administration, and put together by Jean Pangburn and my secretary, Stephanie Reamer.
Oh,
I
nice.
just want to say that I am very fortunate as a superintendent to work with a terrific board in the sense that you focus on the kids, the betterment of the community, and you're all in this to make the East Greenbush School District the best possible school district it can be. And I'm blessed to work with all of you, and I appreciate your information, your support, your comments, and everything that contributes to a great governance process in our school district. So thank you all, not only on Board Appreciation Week, but every time you come to a long meeting like this and everything you do behind the scenes to make our school district stronger and better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Very nice. Appreciate it. Yeah, I just want to echo too that we've had a busy couple of weeks for the board as well as the administration preparing all this information and the guests that came in and talked about it. So between board meetings, retreat, board meeting, we have a little bit of a break. We're on school boards, a few of us. We'll hopefully bring back some good information to the board and the community, and then we're back at it in November. All right.
Thank you all.
I also
Yes.
just want to,
Yeah.
I'll be very brief. I just want to just thank everyone also. Like, I really do appreciate all the work and, and the confidence, just seeing it all up close. It really is a privilege to watch how everything is done, but just
Good.
thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. So with that, we do not need an executive session, and that means a motion to adjourn. No executive session. Mark adjourns second. Jennifer, all those in favor? Marty, thank you for a wonderful evening, and the guests who stayed for the meeting. It was wonderful, as always, as a host.